And yeah, we are in the lobby of SOS versus Probe. Again, that ZVZ Silky versus Silky is being casted by Wardy. Unfortunately, we are the only 2 English streams this week. Yeah, typically we have a couple more, but yeah, it's just the 2 of us. So there's us. If you want to maybe look for other matches, then there are other language streams like Maddox as well. And I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, and Crank as well, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, nice to see. And speaking of nice to see, we are here on that map that I feel like we never ever cast Everlight. Eternal Empire, L-E-E-L-E, Ile. So it's nice to see it today. We're in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of the map. We do in fact have a red Protoss coming out all the way from the land of South Korea. He is the Kukaracha of Korea, because now there's a couple more Kukarachas at play. Yeah, this isn't 2014 anymore. Representing General Green Wings, we have SOS. Playing on a barcode.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Eternal Empire LE, we have the Australian Protoss player representing Legacy Esports. It is Probe. So, only recently we've really had the luxury of casting SOS. Do you think... I mean, he's going to do something crazy, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Alright, fair enough.
Well, I guess it really depends, because Trap, he didn't sign up today, which is a little bit strange. Trap is, well, I guess not really strange, but it's understandable considering what time he probably went to bed last night, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, Trap didn't sign up today, which is something that usually doesn't happen. So it's going to depend. Who is he going to coach? Is he going to coach Creator or SOS?
Yeah, it could also be one of those things where, bit of a spoiler, but Trap, he did play last night and he did take a couple of losses. So because of that, he's not like in the best, maybe he's not in the best mental shape. Maybe he just kind of wants a break, after like a big tournament like that.
I would say it after being in the finals. That's, that's absolutely something you want to break from, especially if it's something that comes out, especially if you're talking about playing in a tournament that. I'm actually not sure what time it was, but, roughly about 12 hours later.
Yeah, I think for Korea, it ended at around, like, 2 or 3 a.m. Like, it was...
Korean time?
Yeah, KST, yeah.
I think it was around, 3 or 4 a.m.-ish.
Yeah.
Because I went to bed at around 1 a.m., and that was before, that was before the finals, or just as the finals was starting.
Yeah, so... That was a bit of a rough time, but, he did play in that, he did compete to his best, and, he's in here. Instead, we do have his teammate, SOS, going for this proxy out in the middle of Eternal Empire.
Yeah, and we talk about SOS being a little bit crazy, and you know what else we usually talk about, Light? Stargate.
Oh my god, it's happening again. We just had this. I'm curious to see how this differs because, Gyolzing just did this on Eternal Empire in a different location to Probe, and he was able to do it to great effect. Now, did Probe learn anything from that? Like, how will SOS execute this in comparison?
Yeah, we'll have to see. And so far he's taking a little bit of a, I'm not sure how to phrase that, but, he's going immediately into his Warp Prism and trying to sneak around the peripheries of Probe's main instead of going straight for that natural base.
Yeah, what a big brain.
And he's going for economic damage rather than trying to kill him.
Yeah.
I quite like it.
It's one of those things like a death from a thousand cuts, right? Like you hurt the economy and then you go for the killing blow, and already 4 workers go down and he manages to save all the adepts.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that this Warp Prism isn't too long for this world. Stalker will help. But how long can that last? Probe, actually, might have been a little bit of misplay here. Gave up a really good defensive location to try to sneak out. Thankfully, he was able to retreat in time, so doesn't lose too much. And now with the double Phoenixes out, this is gonna be a little bit tricky for SOS to execute.
Yeah, definitely, but the Immortal is pouncing upon the shield battery. Shield battery goes down, Overcharge gets wasted.
Lord, GG. SOS knew exactly what to do there. So decisive.
Wow, that was a game.
That was a very well thought out game, yeah.
Yeah, that was like, especially compared to like Gyolzing's execution of it, like this was a lot more like just, you know,
it was very decisive.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, it was very decisive. He just goes in, you know, he gets some worker kills. I think unfortunately, like he was doing really well zoning out those Phoenixes to protect his Warp Prism, and then the Immortals just immediately just chunked away at that shield battery. Jesus Christ.
Exactly. And you know, battery overcharge, it's good, but a battery cannot heal itself.
Yeah, it was rough, and
I could not. There was barely enough time there to process it, honestly. Thanks to you informing Maddox, who is now going to be joining us along with co-caster How Keen. As it seems, Silky vs. Silky has finished up. CN Silky taking out AM Silky will now be facing. I'm not sure I want to reveal it just yet, Light.
Oh my god, Wardy, we're going for the PvPs, Wardy's going for all the ZVZs, and I love it, I'm excited, I love that we're having a newcomer, a new face here this week, and hopefully we can catch him later on down the
He's a big name. Quite a bit of a big name.
Mm-hmm. Not quite a big boy partying or big gay, but he's pretty big.
On the same team, yeah.
Yeah.
Light is definitely a big fan of that particular player, and speaking of being a fan of particular players, here we are now on Everdream, L-E Edele. We're in the top right hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right hand corner of the map. We have a red Protoss coming down all the way from the land of South Korea. We're gonna be representing them Jin Air Greenwings Jaguar. We have one of the cucarachas known as La Cucaracha de la Korea. We have SOS.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Everdream LE, we have the Australian Protoss player representing Legacy Esports once again in another PvP. We have Probe.
What is Korea in Spanish like?
Korean in Spanish?
Or Korea, yeah.
Korea, Korea. Korean is coreano.
Got it. So we can, so for SOS, we can have La Coreano Cucaracha or La Cucaracha de la Corea. And then for Cham, we'll have La Cucaracha del Guadalajara.
This is accurate. This is accurate. We can set up their stage names. Yeah, I'm curious to see how this is gonna play out. Like again, we expect a lot of cheese out of SOS. There's a reason why they call him the cucaracha. Like that's the reason why he got that name. And yeah, like Probe, he's got a big mountain to climb here.
And he does, and especially against a playstyle that he's not too fond of playing against.
Yeah. It's rough. A lot of people, a lot of Protoss players, maybe even some viewers as well. Like PvP is very, I almost want to say like coin flippy in a way. Like it's. I mean, the shield battery has really helped. But as we saw last game, like even though there's a shield battery, like it just got focused down by the Immortals.
You need a lot of shield batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that we are in a state of StarCraft 2 where we really have two camps. You know, we have the Protoss players who are really dedicated to proving that PvP doesn't have to be all sorts of coin flip and sorts of builds and whatnot. And then you have the players who are who do give in to that a little bit. And I'm actually lying. There are three sides, because the third side is the players who do both.
Yeah, and I mean,
not
Probe
names, but stats.
Yeah, we have a couple of the Protoss players like kind of changing up their styles to accommodate that. And yeah, we'll see how this game plays out. So far, there's been no proxy. Oh, but the Adepts of SOS did actually make it into the main base of Probe.
And they managed to shade out into the natural. Probe just taps out. That's gotta be rough.
I'm in shock. I mean, I was at a loss for words when that happened. Wow. GG. Yeah, I guess Probe losing those 4 probes. Yeah, really.
Yeah, I think he realized, oh, this is how we'll get. I'm gonna be going up against SOS, a very veteran player, and I'm gonna be down in economy. I know how these types of PvPs play out.
Yeah, and I would have to check the VOD because something really peculiar happened there. Probe used a recall, and that may have been an accident because I think he did have units at home to defend, and maybe that's also what played into him forfeiting. I think maybe it may have been a mistake, or was it? I can't quite recall.
We'll have to watch a VOD on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was all right.
Yeah, I definitely not want to be in Probe's shoes right now, but SOS will be moving on forward and will be facing the winner of Hurricane versus Tasia. That's gonna be an interesting PvP. Or PvP, I should say.
I was gonna say, you got no faith in Tasia. Jesus Christ.
No, I meant to say PvT, but I think Freudian slip going up. Yeah, Tasia, I really like Tasia as a player. He's, at least in the past, he was known as being overall a very solid player, but nowadays, coming in, you can kind of see it in GSL, he's really good at TBT and really good at TVZ, but his TVP is, he himself doesn't have a lot of, optimism for that kind of matchup, let's put it that way.
So, bracket just got updated, Hurricane 2-0 Tasia.
Yep. What I tell you. And I guess it is our duty, like, to cast all of the PvPs, so...
I'm so sorry, Yaku, I made this happen. I foresaw it in the bracket before the tournament started. I'm like, yo, we're gonna get a bunch of PvPs if we go here.
Well... a bit of a shame. I would have loved to seen a lot more of Taja's games. Because as we were casting Taja earlier this year during IEM qualifiers, Taja, especially in his TVZ, he's a hype player. He has got his decision making down to a science. He can really pull off those clutch moves, and even when he does come into games where eventually his opponents are able to overwhelm him, you always have that little bit of hope, like, oh, Taja's actually doing it. Taja could actually win this.